Before the episode starts, I just wanted to say that what you're about to watch is real therapy. Sessions have been edited down, but everything you are seeing is raw and unscripted. Please be aware that at times there is strong language and there are themes of trauma and suicide throughout. What if the unthinkable happened? What if someone you love took their own life? What would you do? Would you give up hope? Or would you find the strength to keep on living? When you wake up in the morning, how do you feel?
I don't want to be here.
What I hear in that is you don't want to be here in this emotional place.
Yeah, I know I have to, but I don't want to feel it. She calls me no end of grief for 10 years. And I'm angry at her for that because
I think part of what's so difficult is that your love for her is also tied up with a lot of other feelings.
amongst all these forms, it's like a metaphor of my life. How much more can I fucking say? Fucking leave me alone. Fuck off!
This is where we're going.
Oh, fucking hell.
Our experiences fundamentally shape us. Trauma can trap us, prevent us from moving forward. The only way to break free is to confront trauma head on. Only by healing the impact of our past can we awaken our true potential for the future.
I don't think he's the problem. I think you're the problem.
Fuck off! Why did you do it?
Oh.
My name is Alex Howard, and this is In Therapy. I've been a therapist for over 20 years. And it's possible with this job to become desensitized. But every so often, I meet someone who reminds me why I do this work. This is Paul. Paul has applied to be part of this series. 6 months ago, Paul's daughter Zoe tragically took her own life. She was 29. This catastrophic event has also unearthed deeply buried trauma from when Paul's mother died when he was a child, leaving him in a state of complete emotional overwhelm.
I didn't realise until this event happened with Zoe. I'd never grieved for my mother. I'd never understood what went on as a child. I never understood the abuse, the disloyalty, and all that. And that's collided with Zoe's passing and created this, all I could describe as a sort of monster that's just holding me back now. And I want to deal with that. I don't want it. Now it's in the open. Now it's out the box. The box is open. I can't put it back in now. I don't know how to do it. Normally, I could do a few NLP techniques and change the way I felt. And I can't do it with this. I don't actually want to do it. I actually want to go through this process and come out the other side whole, because I feel at the moment I'm in bits. I'm broken. It's like my life's on hold. And I know I have to deal with it. I haven't dealt with it for 57 years. I mean, I was 3 when Mum died. And I never used to think anything could ever be worse than that. My own kid. And this to do with it at the same time, and it's fucking hard. You know, it's hard dealing with just one fucking thing. You know, I want my life to be whole. I want to be able to walk and hold my head up high, knowing full well I'm not going to press the fuck it button because I can't handle it anymore. Oh, this is probably a load of bollocks, and you probably just. I'm sorry. Listen, if there's anything else you need, just reach out. But I've got nothing else to say, mate. Sorry.
What do you think?
I think put him through psych assessments, but I'd love to work with him and move forwards. When you wake up in the morning, how do you feel?
I don't want to be here. So what's the fucking point? But I know I can't think that way because I've got people who depend on me. I've got people who love me, and I don't want to be in a position where they feel like I do. But at the same time, I want it to stop. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like I don't want to feel like this because it feels to me it's debilitating. It's stopping me from being whole. You know, it's just.
Well, it sounds like historically your relationship with your emotions has been to shut them down or to defend against them.
They were in a box, mate. They were in a fucking box.
Yeah.
They were in a box. I kept them in there. No one got near them. No one. And then Zoe went and the lid come off. I can't put them back in there.
See, how I think about it is you have a physical body, but you also have an emotional body.
Yeah.
And your emotional body is also intelligent. And it was intelligent in the way that it put all that stuff in the box when you were a child because you didn't know how to feel it. Right. You didn't have the support and you didn't have the safety and the holding that you needed to be able to feel it. Right. So that wasn't something wrong, is in the response. It was intelligent. It wasn't the optimum choice, but it was the best choice that you had at the time. Right. The challenge you've got now is that strategy is making your life unbearable because you have all of these emotions that are now partly more recent emotions, but also they're triggering historical emotions. And that's the intelligence of your emotional body, is that emotion is trying to move, but it's triggering an instinctive response of repression and shutting it down. And so you're fucked if you do and you're fucked if you don't. Because if you let yourself feel it, that is what you learn not to do. In fact, you learn your instinct is the opposite. But you also, there's a place in you that recognizes you just can't hold this down anymore. And so the feeling of waking up in the morning, I don't want to be here. What I hear in that is you don't want to be here in this emotional place.
Yeah, that's it. I don't want to feel this way. I don't. I know I have to, but I don't want to feel it.
Paul and I go on to talk about how he reacted after learning of Zoe's death.
This is going to sound a bit bizarre. When Zoe went, I didn't expect to feel the way I feel. But I shouldn't have been surprised because 10 years ago, or 11 years ago now, she attempted to take her life. And then I found myself at Green Park Station, and the train was coming in the station, and I thought, what am I doing? What am I doing? And then I realised that in that moment, I never wanted to feel the same way as I felt as a child. The closest that anyone could come to it would be one of my kids going.
Yeah. Right.
So I was thinking to myself when she went that I would be rational and logical and I would be able to deal with it, and I'd probably cry and I would... No, that wasn't the case. And I didn't understand what it was. It was just unbearable pain.
Paul then tells me about how not being able to grieve as a child has impacted his life.
I know you lost your mum when you were 3. Tell me what else is important about what happened.
They fucking erased her. Fuckers. All the photographs, everything was destroyed. The whole lot. It was just... she never existed. So she's gone. We got this new mum, and we're not allowed to refer to my mum as mum anymore. We have to call her Pam. I don't know if people will understand the disloyalty in that.
What was your relationship like with your dad?
He lost his dad at 8 and lost his wife at 23. He had 3 kids. But he disappeared and she died because he couldn't hack it. Zoe left me a letter, 6 pages long. And I'm more than happy if you want to read it. But hey, my actions to her and the way she describes our relationship is... I was always there for her, and that she said I couldn't have asked for a better dad, friend, or mentor. I mean, for your kids to write that about you, you know,
It sounds like part of your way of healing and processing your own childhood was to be the kind of father that you didn't have.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt.
I want to make a distinction which I think is important for the work we're going to do together,
Right.
which is the distinction between you as a grown man sat here with a lot of capabilities and skills and capacities that you've shaped in your life, and the little boy that lives inside of you, which has been impacted and bruised and hurt by the things that have happened. And part of what I think has been challenging for you in this recent time is that little boy's got loud. And that little boy has been demanding of your attention. And your attention is really important to that little boy, because what he really wanted when he was a child, he wanted your mum and he wanted your dad. And he couldn't have either of them. And he's put up with that for a long time. And then you lost Zoe. And his feelings about losing mum and dad were reawakened. But also there are your feelings as a father and your feelings as the man that sat here of your deep loss and your deep grief. And both of you need to be given a voice. And both of you have healing that needs to happen.
I suppose there's a fear that if I let myself feel them feelings, whether someone's going to get it in the neck, and that's not who I am.
I think what's important here, because I think that you've touched on something that I think is really at the heart of this, which is that you have a fear, I think a somewhat justifiable fear, that if you let him out of the box, you let those feelings come out, that you will lose control of yourself. And as an act of self-care and as an act of care of other people, you're trying to protect everyone. But here's the thing, the difference between your resources as the little boy and your resources now as the man is enormous. The little boy was dependent upon his mum and his dad to hold him in how he felt. and they weren't there to do it. But you can learn how to hold him in those feelings. That allows him then to do the healing that he needs to do. Because here's the thing. You became the father that you needed. So you learned how to do this. What you haven't yet done is done it for him.
Maybe. Yeah, it makes sense.
And also, I don't think he's the problem.
Cheers. Go on.
I think you're the problem.
Go on.
And what I mean by that is he's the boy and you're the man.
Yeah.
And he's fucking angry.
And I'm not giving him a say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's got every right to be angry.
And I saw that as soon as you said that. I thought, yeah, you're right. Yeah. I've not heard him.
That's it.
And so, yeah, you're right. I suppress him. At the same time, I don't allow him to feel. At the same time, I don't allow him to process things.
You see, a skillful, strong boundary as a parent says, I love you enough to hold this boundary. So my point here is not that we're going to put him in charge of your life. You're the man. You're the one that's got the lived experience of the world. You need to be in charge of your life. And he needs to have the time, the space, and the holding and the support to heal. And how you're trying to deal with that at the moment and the way you've dealt with this historically is just to have a harder boundary. But what you found is he's too big right now for you just to shut him back down again.
Yeah.
And shutting him back down again is not what you need.
No.
But it's not let him run the show, and it's not shut him down. It's something else. And that something else is a big part of what I think is going to be our work together.
I get that. But even if I don't take anything else from today, the fact that I realise that I'm in charge, I'm causing the problem, not the little boy, it's quite fundamental.
Yeah.
It's that was a shock.
Yeah. But here's the thing as well, and I think you probably already realise this. It's also a message of hope. Because if you're the problem...
Yeah, I can deal with that.
You can change.
I can do
right? If he's the problem,
I'm
you're a bit fucked. Right?
Yeah.
So that's the message of hope, that he is having an entirely appropriate response
to me slapping him down, yeah.
Well, to the world, the whole fucking world slapping him down, actually. And then you've just carried on in the vein that everyone else did. So he was ignored by your mum. Your mum was lost. He was then ignored by your dad's new partner. So what did you learn to do? You just did what everyone else did, and you ignored him.
Yeah, no, makes a lot of sense.
I've asked you a lot of questions. Do you have any questions for me before we finish today?
Not really. No, I think I was a little bit, where's this going to go before we got here? And I can see now where the work needs to be done, and so I thank you for that, because it's all makes sense.
Good. All right. Well, I think I've pushed you enough for today, so I'll let you take some time just to be with it, and then I look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In the chaos, you are the peace. In my suffering, you're here with me. In the darkness, you never leave. God of mercy, you're walking with me. I surrender anxiety, all the striving, ask to cease. In this moment, you're still the King. This is the gift you are giving to me.
So I'm just reflecting on my first session with Paul, and I think it went well. There's obviously some tough work that we need to do, but how he showed up is what gives me a level of confidence that we're going to be able to do that work. You know, the overwhelming tendency when we experience overwhelming pain is we want to do anything we can to escape that pain. You know, we can spend our whole life running from those most difficult and most painful places. And what Paul did today was he had the courage to stand in front of his pain and to make a different choice. Also, the realization that those younger traumatized places in us, they aren't the problem. It's how we are in relationship to those places, which is the problem. But that's the message of hope, because we can change. And if we change, those places can change. I also just read Zoe's letter, which Paul sent to me. I really felt Zoe's presence, and that if she was here, what she'd be saying was help my dad. And I want to read you a short excerpt from the letter, because I think it really captures the heart of the work that Paul is doing. While I'm walking towards death with relief in my mind, there's no escaping the guilt that I feel knowing the chaos I'm leaving behind. And knowing how much I'm about to hurt you, I know you will never be the same again after this. But I know that one day you will recover from this. And like every hardship you've ever been through, if there's anyone who can take a shit situation and turn it into something worth fighting for, it's my dad.
What do you believe about that little boy?
He's a pain in the fucking arse.
Yeah, right, okay, thank you. Appreciate the honesty.
Effectively downtrodden that inner child in me for a long time and bullied him in a way.
I think it could be one of them days where your life changes.
She caused me no end of grief for 10 years. And I'm angry at her for that. A bit concerned about today.
Wondering why I brought you to a beautiful location.
Yeah. I don't know what you want from me. Fucking leave me alone.
For me, there's still a piece that I would like us to explore, which is Zoe. All right. You want to do it?
Yeah.